Okay, hi everybody. Welcome again to another hour of English classes here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa. In this hour, we're going to be having a reading class, something totally different than the last hour where we were listening to a Bruno Mars song, Uptown Funk, and trying to understand what he was singing about. Now we're going to be talking about some strange types of religions that are found around the world that are unusual and maybe you've never heard of them. So we're going to learn about them and what those people believe. Why are they called religions? Hi, Hamid.
Hi.
Are you ready for this
Yes.
class? All right.
Maybe we can find some fans of these religions.
Yeah, really. Maybe somebody will join us. The Jedi religion. That's a funny one. Okay. Yeah. So, Hamid, do you ever listen to American music?
Yes, I have a desktop program, and sometimes, generally, I like Eurovision songs, but sometimes I open the hits music for American channel. So for Taylor Swift and Bruno Mars songs, maybe I heard during the day 10 times.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Again and again.
Again and again. Yeah. It's okay if you like the song. If you don't like the song, then you want to just like shoot the radio because they keep playing the same songs over and over.
And one interesting news from Turkish side, Turkey didn't participate for 2 years Eurovision Song Contest, but this year our government changed it, so we are participating Eurovision again.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
So I am excited for that.
Yeah, great. Okay, guys, so let me welcome everybody as you come in. Hi, Kartar. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What about you? How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Remind me where you're calling from.
I'm from India.
Oh, yes. Okay, wonderful. What time is it there?
It's 10:30 p.m.
10:30 p.m. Okay, not too bad. Okay, Mateo, you're coming back for more. All right.
Yeah, hello again.
Good. Okay, everybody's coming in. Good. Miriam. Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Miriam, where are you calling from?
From Mexico.
Oh, what part? What city? What city do you live in?
Toluca.
Toluca. Okay. Well, great.
Yeah.
Welcome. Monica, how are you?
Hi, I'm pretty well, thank you.
Okay, good. And Wilmer, welcome.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
Hi, welcome. And Fernando. Hi, Fernando.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. And wow, we're having a full class here. Amparo, welcome.
Hi, teacher. Thank you.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. And Adrian, welcome.
Hi, Lisa. I'm fine.
Okay, guys, well, let's go ahead and get started because this article is actually somewhat longer. I want to thank Hamid because he found this article and he suggested it, and I agreed that it would be interesting and fun for people to read. So I think I'm going to just let you guys read, and then I will just be the person who goes over the vocabulary, and maybe if I need to correct some pronunciation or something, I'll do that. But in order to read through the whole article and maybe have some time to comment on it, I think we need to not have me read it. So it comes from this website here, Matador Network. And so on the website, of course, we'll see pictures and stuff like this. But the idea is this guy wrote an article about 7 really weird religions you haven't heard of. So maybe you have, maybe you haven't. We're going to see right now. So he's talking about this, and he gives us 7 of them, and then on the regular website he provides some pictures, but I put it over here on the document so we're just reading the words. And so we're going to use this to read. But if you want, you can also go to the regular page so you can see the pictures that he shows and stuff like that. Okay, so the way that we'll do this today is people will take turns, and I'll give you like a little bit at a time here, and you'll read it. And then after you're done reading, I will go over some of the vocabulary, maybe that's new to some people, may or may not be new to you. And then we'll keep going, and then hopefully at the end we'll have time to have some comments. You guys can make some comments. Have you heard of any of these religions? What do you think of them? Is it funny? Is it silly? Is it interesting? That type of thing. Okay? So 7 really weird religions you haven't heard of. Okay, Adrian, why don't we start with you? You can read that whole part there.
Okay. 7 really weird religions you haven't heard of. The imagination knows no limits. People will search for meaning in very odd places. Not to say mainstream religions aren't odd in their own ways. No, I'm not expressing any real value, judgment as to the merits of these religions. I guess the quotes aren't a good start. I'm simply highlighting, uh, hi- highlighting some of the more unusual, often hilarious belief systems out there. But again, I make no judgment.
Okay, yes. So as you can tell, the tone of the article is kind of what we would call lighthearted, fun, not serious. It's not like an academic study or anything like this about religions. So he's saying imagination knows no limits. So your imagination, what you can create in your mind, what you can think of, knows no limits. It's limitless. There are no boundaries. You can, imagine anything. And so he's saying people will search for meaning, trying to have meaning in your life, searching for it, looking for meaning in odd places. Odd just means strange, weird, bizarre, so crazy places. And in parentheses, he says, not to say mainstream religions. Mainstream religions would be those most popular ones in modern times right now, would like Christianity, Islam, Catholicism, Judaism, Hinduism, the ones we are more familiar with, Buddhism. He's saying, not to say that they don't have their own odd ways. So he's also recognizing that some of the mainstream religions, just because they're popular and very well known, doesn't mean they don't have some strange things about them too. So he says, I'm not expressing, I'm not thinking, or I'm not trying to say that I have a judgment, a value judgment. That means if they're right or they're wrong. As to the merits. The merits means like if something is good or bad, how valuable it is. So he's not really trying to say, I think this religion is better than this one, or this one's really good, or this one's really bad. He's simply highlighting. So he's just showing us some of the more unusual, different, bizarre, odd, and sometimes or often hilarious, which means funny, belief systems out there. Out there just means out in the world that exist. But he says, again, I make no judgment. So he's not saying which ones are right, which ones are wrong. And then he puts a kind of a smiley face with a winking eye. So it's kind of like, he's really joking around here. All right, so the first one he's going to talk about is called Jediism, the Jedi religion. So Jedis are from Star Wars, the movie, of course. And so somebody's created the Jedi religion. Okay, Amparo, why don't you read about Jediism?
Judaism, the Jedi religion. Little did George Lucas realize what he was starting. With his Star Wars movies, he set in motion a religious movement that has inspired generations like the saber waving, nylon cloak wearing warrior nerds. Adherents or real world Jedis believe the Force actually exists. According to the Star Wars mythology, the force is the energy that holds the universe together and flows through every material thing, obviously borrowing some concepts from Eastern religions. Jedi are monks, knights capable of controlling and using the Force and bound by a code of morality and justice.
Okay. All right. So little did George Lucas. So George Lucas was the director, the creator of the Star Wars series. So little did he realize, or little did he know, is a way to say something like he didn't know what he was starting. So when he made the movies, he probably didn't realize some people were going to make this into like a religion. Okay, that's the idea there. He didn't know what he was starting, because he wasn't starting anything. He just was making movies. That's the idea. But he set in motion. So to set in motion means to start something. And so by making these movies, it's like setting into motion. It kind of triggered or created this religious movement that has been inspiring or has inspired generations. So people, young people who see the movies, and then they become parents, they have kids, the next generation. So, a couple of generations now have seen the Star Wars movies, and so they like these fake lightsaber. He describes them, fake lightsaber waving, nylon cloak wearing warrior nerds. So here's the picture of that up here, where these are the lightsabers, so like swords. If you've seen the movies, you know. And then these are the cloaks, what you're wearing. That's a cloak where you have a hood, and these are the guys who believe in this religion. And so what are their beliefs? Adherence. An adherent is somebody who adheres to like a religion or something, a belief system. So people who are adherents or believers or followers of this religion, they really believe that the Force, which was in Star Wars, the Force, may the Force be with you. That's a popular line from Star Wars. They think it actually exists. And so if you think about the Star Wars mythology, the stories behind it, the Force is described as that energy that holds everything together, and it also flows through. So it's in everything, every person, every living thing. And so obviously some Eastern religions have that same kind of philosophy, that same idea about energy. And then the Jedis, who are they? They're like monks / knights, so kind of like warriors, and they can control and use the Force. Remember, Luke used the Force when he's going to blow something up. Use the Force, use the energy, and then also they are bound by. So if you are bound by a code, it means that you have to follow certain rules. So as a Jedi monk, you have to follow the code of morality and justice. Morality means like knowing what's right, what's wrong, and you have to pay attention to that and live by that code. You can't break that code. So you can see the appeal. All right. So next is Fernando.
So you can see the appeal to every malik hoping to use a lightsaber to bore a hole into the forehead for an evil bully. Jedins has been referred to as a blend of Taoism and Buddhism that also incorporate elements to medieval chivalry.
Chivalry.
Chivalry. While there's no formal central doctrine, all this is loosely referred to as the Jedi Code. Though I haven't confirmed it, there is a rumor that the Jedi Elders force anyone waiting to join to sit in a dark room and watch the original trilogy 16 times in a row. The first trilogy only, as the newer films are widely considered an abomination.
Okay. All right. So you can see the appeal. The appeal means why something is popular. If it appeals to people, it means people like it. So to every mathlete, a person who likes math, not an athlete, a mathlete. So kind of like a nerdy science math guy is what they're talking about. So you can see that this appeals to these type of people who are hoping to use a lightsaber to bore a hole into the forehead of an evil bully. So this is kind of like a cultural context here where oftentimes nerds, so people who are into math and science, they are bullied by like athletes and jocks and people who think that they're not cool. So the idea is they like this idea of using a lightsaber to make a hole. To bore a hole means just to cause to make a hole into the foreheads of these bullies. So that's why it appeals to young, like nerdy guys. All right, so it's referred to as a blend of. So a blend of something is when you mix two or more things together. So these are mainstream, more popular religions, Taoism and Buddhism. Incorporates, again, same kind of idea, mixing in different elements of or different parts of medieval chivalry. That's from the knights, you know, the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, that type of thing. There is no central doctrine. So usually in a religion you have the central doctrine, like the Bible or the Quran or something that tells you what the religion is. All of this is loosely referred to as the Jedi Code. So there's no book that tells you what the Jedi Code is. It's just based on the movie and what people think about it. And so he says, though I haven't confirmed it, so that means he doesn't know for sure. To confirm something means to check it out for sure. There's a rumor, so people say that the Jedi elders force anyone, so if you want to join this religion, there's some kind of sacrifice you have to make. And so what you have to do, you have to watch the original trilogy 16 times in a row. So in one time, that would be like the binge watching we talked about yesterday in our class. But the first trilogy only, so the first Star Wars, the first three, not the other ones, because those are considered an abomination. So that means they're kind of like blasphemous against the religion. They don't represent the true Jedi religion. So of course this is kind of silly, but
Would you please tell me the meaning of what does trilogy mean?
Trilogy means 3 movies or 3 anything. So
But I think Star
yeah.
Wars movie has many parts, more than 3.
Well, the first ones were just 3. So
Okay.
like when I was young, there were only 3 Star Wars. You know, you had Star Wars, you had Return of the Jedi, and The Empire Strikes Back. But then later on, many years later on, they started to make the other 3. So that's why there are 6 now. But the first trilogy, those are the original movies. The other ones were the more modern ones. Yeah. So Qatar, you probably can't be a Jedi until you watch those.
16 times. So 16 times in a row means that watching the very first movie 16 times continuously.
Yes, exactly, in a row, one after
my
the other.
Very boring.
Yes, it's very silly. That's a joke. So it's sarcastic here, but that's just he's being funny. The article is about being funny. Okay. All right. So the Church of Ed Wood. Okay, Hamid, tell us about Ed Wood here. Let me just hold on. Boom. Okay. How about that whole part there?
Just a second.
Okay.
The Church of Ed Wood. The Ed Wood is famously known in Hollywood as one of the worst, if not the worst, directors of all time. Here that Paul Verhoeven. You and your classic showgirls are off the hook. Since his death, he's gained quite the cult status, and his off-camera exploits were brought to life by Johnny Depp in the 1994 film Ed Wood, directed by Tim Burton. Ed Wood's most celebrated picture is Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was in fact the last film of Bela Lugosi, a bit of a train wreck himself.
Okay, so the Church of Ed Wood, so that's a person here. Let's see if there's a picture. So that's I guess that's him, one of his movies. Okay, so the Church of Ed Wood. So he's famously known in Hollywood. So people in Hollywood, directors, movie stars, things like that, actors, actresses, they recognize him, or that he is known to be one of the worst, if not the worst, or the worst, you can say it either way, directors of all time. And so this is in parentheses. Hear that, Paul Verhoeven. You and your classic Showgirls are off the hook. That means you don't have to worry about it. You're no longer considered the worst. It's Ed Wood. So to be off the hook means you're not responsible for that anymore, or you don't fit into that situation anymore. So you don't have to worry about something. If you're off the hook, you don't have to worry about it. So he doesn't have to worry about being the worst, because now Ed Wood is the worst. Okay, so he's dead. So since his death, he's gained. So to gain means he has garnered, he's gathered, he has he has become quite the cult kind of a leader. So cults are groups of people who believe in something. So kind of like a cult status. Like Star Wars, people who really get into Star Wars, that's kind of like a cult of Star Wars aficionados, or fans. All right, so his off-camera exploits, so the things that happened in his life, like I don't know what happened in his life, but exploits are usually the things that you do that you don't want people to know about, like having affairs, having problems with drinking or drugs, doing crazy things. Those are your exploits. And off-camera means, in his personal life. These were brought to life. Brought to life means in a movie. So when you make a movie about somebody, you bring to life on the big screen, is what we say usually. So Johnny Depp was in this movie, and so it was about this guy. He had some celebrated pictures. A celebrated picture means one of his more popular movies was his last film of Bela Lugosi, a bit of a train wreck. A train wreck is a person, it's used to describe a person who's kind of out of control. Maybe he drinks a lot, does drugs, maybe he's in and out of relationships. So not kind of the opposite of a person who's really successful and got it together. A train wreck is just a mess. A person who is a mess, we could say. Okay, Kartar, how about you read the rest of this one? Number 2, Ed Wood. Kartar, your microphone is muted. Kartar, are you there? Okay, Mateo, why don't you go? Maybe we'll come back to Kartar. Mateo?
Okay.
Thank you.
So the Church of Ed Wood, or Woodism, labels itself a pop culture religion that hopes to bring spiritually to those people who don't find it in more mainstream religions. A punk libertarian religion, if you will. They look upon Ed Wood as a savior, but as the church notes, not a savior. Tenets include upholding the morals and ideals of Edward D. Wood and preaching Eddie's message of total understanding and acceptance, regardless of what modern society may say. Wood was also a transvestite in 1950s America, probably not a fun time to have a sexual identity crisis. The church claims there are over 3,000 legal Woodists worldwide.
So, okay, crazy. Okay, Woodism. Yeah, so that's what we do when we make things. We have, Judaism, socialism, communism, isms. So that's what we do to words. So when we make it like it's a thing. So Ed Wood changed his name into an ism, we say. Okay, this is labels. So the church labels itself. That means it calls itself a pop culture religion. So it's not based on any kind of writings or the Bible or anything. It's pop culture. And so what do they hope to do? They want to bring spirituality to people who don't find it in the mainstream religions. So people who don't like other mainstream religions. All right, so it's kind of a punk rock, you could say. Libertarian, that's more of a political belief system about freedom. And so it's kind of like punk libertarian, if you will, means like, if you will allow me to say it like that. The followers, they look upon, so they look at him as a savior, but as the church notes, not the savior. So he's not saying he's Jesus Christ or God or something like that. He's just a savior, somebody who has saved them or helped them. The tenets of a religion are the things that you're supposed to do, the rules that you're supposed to follow in a religion. So in this religion, they're upholding, which means they're supporting the morals and the ideals of this person, preaching his message. And what his message was total understanding, so not having judgments about anybody, accepting everybody regardless of what modern society may say. So even if modern society says this person is not good, they're evil, bad, wrong, whatever, that's not what this religion is about. You have to accept everybody and try to have total understanding. He was a transvestite. A transvestite is a person, like a man who dresses up like a woman, and so that was in the 1950s, so a more conservative time period. So probably not a fun time to have a sexual identity crisis. So probably wasn't a good situation for him living in the 1950s to be a transvestite. And so there are 3,000 Woodites. So Woodites is a follower of this church. So it became an ism, Woodism, and then ites. We add this word ites, or this part of the word ites, to another word to mean people who follow something or other. Okay. A furious society. If anybody has any questions, you can turn on your microphone and ask me too. So if you want to ask me something more particular. Okay. A furious society. The number 3 weird religion. These are pretty weird. Miriam, why don't you go ahead and read all of this here? Let's see, right there.
Okay. Okay. Aetherius society. What do you do if you are stuck as a cab driver but also have a passion for yoga? The answer is obvious. You start your own religion. On an uneventful day in 1954, George King was sitting alone in his London apartment when suddenly, out the blue, Alf, well, not really Alf, but Aetherius shouted, "Prepare yourself, you're to become the voice of interplanetary parliament." So he did just that. King started the Aetherius Society, which hopes to combine alien wisdom of the cosmic matters and yoga into something useful that will bring balance to humanity.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently this guy was, if you're stuck as, that means like that's the only thing you can do. That's your job. You can't really change it. So you're stuck. If you're stuck as a cab driver and you also have a passion for yoga, what do? The answer is obvious. You start your own religion. So it is true. You can start your own religion if you want, if you can find followers and people who believe in you or what you have to say. So on an uneventful day, nothing special was happening. He was sitting by himself. Suddenly, out of the blue, so out of nowhere, he shouted, "Prepare yourself," or he heard somebody shout, "You are to become the voice of interplanetary." So inter meaning between the planets, a parliament. So some kind of communication between the different planets. So he did just that. Means he did become the voice of the parliament, this interplanetary. What he did was he started the society, the Aetherius society. And what does he want to do? He wants to combine alien wisdom. Alien meaning other life forms of other planets that we don't know about necessarily, and to combine them, put them together with yoga, which is, a practice from India, into something useful that will bring balance to humanity. So bringing balance, to bring some kind of peace, between the good and the bad, some kind of balance. All right. I'm going to move it here. So this is a belief, what they believe, a little bit more about what they believe. Monica, why don't you read all this part here?
Okay. They believe Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna are in fact aliens. Yes, plausible. And one of their claims to fame is that the aliens alerted them to the imminent Chernobyl disaster a good 4 hours before it melts down. Well, I'm convinced. Why lie? They claim about 650 adherents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Realism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not to be outdone by the Brits, a Frenchman, race car driver Claude Bergholz, has said that he too was contacted by aliens and made a go-between for humans-alien relations. The aliens dubbed him Real, hence realism. Real, also known as Claude, claims the aliens took him to the planet Elohim, where in addition to hanging out with the aliens themselves, he got a chance to meet Jesus, Buddha, Joseph Smith, really, and the Confucians.
Okay. All right, so in this Aetherius one, so they think Jesus, Buddha, and Krishna are all aliens, so they're from other planets. And then he says in parentheses, yes, plausible. Plausible means it's possible. And one of their claims to fame. So your claim to fame means what you are famous for. Like you did something and that's why people know about you. That's your claim to fame. So one of their claims to fame is that they say that the aliens alerted them to something. So alerted somebody means to tell you, hey, this is going to happen. It's like to let you know. Imminent means it's going to happen soon. So it's going to happen and you can't really stop it. So it's imminent. And that was the disaster of Chernobyl. So they alerted them to it before it actually did melt down. So the melting down was when it malfunctioned and there was the disaster, the nuclear meltdown. Okay, so the guy who's writing it says, well, I'm convinced. Why lie? So I believe it. Why would they lie? That's a joke there. They have 650 adherents, so believers, people who believe this guy. All right, so this other guy, French guy, car racer, he was also contacted by aliens. So there's some kind of contact, some kind of communication. And so he was made to be a go-between. A go-between is somebody like an envoy, a person who works with this group and that other group, like in relationships. And so he's going to be working with the humans and the aliens. And they called him Ryle. Ryle is the name. They dubbed him, means they called him Ryle. So there's Rylism now. They took him to this planet, so we don't know about this planet, and he said he was just hanging out with. So he was spending time with, talking to the aliens. And he also got to meet Jesus, the Buddha, and Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith is the guy who founded Mormonism, which is a Christian religion here in the United States, and also Confucius, Chinese guy. So he got to meet all these different kind of prophets, I guess you could call them. All right, so why don't we continue on with these silly things? Wilmer, why don't you read about the rest of Rael?
Okay, teacher. The aliens taught Rai 3 important things to remember. First one, that humans were created in an alien lab from alien DNA N.A. 25
1,000.
25,000 years ago. Right? Okay, a little odd, but I'm with you. Second, the aliens will be dropping in on Jerusalem in 2025. Right? Okay, still with you. Three, that real must relate to human kid and measures of peace and sensual meditation. Now you have
Mediation.
mediation. Sorry. Now you have lost me. Medi, medi,
Meditation.
meditation with happy ending.
Maybe it is a typo. Okay, meditation. Yeah, go ahead.
They claim to have about 30,000 flowers.
Okay, so these are the things that they believe, okay, in this religion, and these are what the aliens told him. They were created. So we were created in a lab by aliens. He says, a little odd, but I'm with you. Means, okay, I'm still listening. They're going to be dropping in on Jerusalem, which means they're going to show up. The aliens will be showing up in Jerusalem in 10 years from now. He says, okay, I'm still with you. And then he says, we have to relay a message of peace. To relay means to send a message. So they're trying to send a message of peace and sensual. Sensual means of the senses. Sometimes it means sexual, but it's sensual could mean just how you feel, your senses. And he says, now you've lost me. Okay, so now I'm not following. I don't get it. And he asks the question, meditation with a happy ending, like you have an orgasm or something like that. What is sensual meditation? So he doesn't get it. Okay, so these are 30,000 followers believe in this religion. Okay, next, number 5, happy science religion. Adrian.
Happy science religion. You decide to try your hand at love. Doesn't work. You try your hand at finance. Doesn't work. You take some class at your community college. Awaken a hidden part of your conscience from the ninth dimension of the spirit world and proof. Your next logical step is obvious. You start your own religion on recurring them here. That's the story of Ryu Okawa and the happy science religion, and yes, he's being big in Japan. Okawa believes his mission is to bring happiness to all humanity, which is nice of him. He also believes to be the incarnation of the supreme spiritual being El Cantare.
El Cantare.
Yeah, not to be confused with the 2007 Mark Anthony Lord movie.
J-Lo, Jennifer
J-Lo,
Lopez.
the cantante. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, all right. So here it says you try your hand at. So to try your hand at something means you try to do it. So he tried to do law, be a lawyer or something. He wasn't successful. It doesn't work. He tried finance, maybe being like a financial person, stockbroker, something like that. Okay, didn't work for him. Then he took some classes at his community college. So that's not a university, a 2-year college. And then you awaken a hidden part. So to awaken means something comes alive in you. You have a hidden part of your consciousness from the 9th dimension of the spirit world. So we don't know what that is. And poof, like all of a sudden, like magic, your next logical step, the next thing that makes sense to do, is obvious. You start your own religion. And he says this is a recurring theme. Recurring means this is happening over and over again. So this is how people start new religions. They have some kind of awareness or spiritual awakening or something that they think is like that. And that's what happened to this guy. and he started the Happy Science religion. And yes, he's big in Japan, which means he's popular in Japan. I put a link. They have a website and everything. All right, so he thinks his mission, what he's here to do, his purpose, is to bring happiness to all of, and then he puts in parentheses, that's nice of him, thank you. He also is believed to be the incarnation. Incarnation is like the idea of reincarnation, when you are born again. So he's supposed to be the incarnation of some supreme spiritual being called El Cantare. And this is a joke, not to be confused with Mark Anthony Jennifer Lopez movie El Cantante. All right, he's got hit movies. Amparo, how about you read? Go ahead and read all of this.
Movies.
Whoops. Go ahead.
He's got best-selling books, some of which he says were channeled through him by the spirits of Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, and Confucius. Funny how all these guys seem to pal around with major religious figures. It's never Ned from down the block who told me to help humanity. No, it's always Jesus told me this, and Buddha told me that, and Confucius whispered. Other claims include his prophecy that the angel Gabriel will show up in Bangkok, kind of random, in 50 years, and that aliens will be visiting us in 300 or to 400 years.
Okay, all right. So he has hit movies, so popular movies that are famous and did well. Best-selling books, so also books that sell well, and they have been channeled through him. So channelers are people who say that they have some kind of connection with the spirit world or something like that. And so he's saying that the spirits of these prophets have been channeled through him. So they're telling him these things, and now he's saying them. And then he's making a joke here. Isn't it funny, kind of like how all these guys, these Muhammad, Buddha, they always seem to pal around with. So all of these guys, meaning actually the guy who started the religion, they're always palling around with. That means like hanging out with, being friends with the major religious figures of the major mainstream religions. He says it's never Ned from down the block, so never like just some guy from down in your neighborhood who told you. It always is Jesus or Buddha or somebody who's already popular. And so he's making a joke here. Jesus told me this, Buddha told me that, Confucius whispered to me. They're telling me all this stuff. So he claims, what he believes or what he says is true, is that Gabriel is going to come to Bangkok, and he says in parentheses that's kind of random, but anyways, and also the aliens are going to be coming here pretty soon, not in 2025, but in 300 to 400 years. Okay, Fernando, how about you read all of this?
Okay, Okawa also entered the political scene in Japan and even started his own party, the Happy Realization Party. Thus far, their platforms have been a little bit of a boomer. They'd like to double Japan population to 300 million for some reason, and have also released from videos claiming North Korea is planning to invade and colonize Japan. Jikis. Pan away. I am sure we have all at some point worried that our cell phone might be freeing our brains naturally. Somebody just had to take things a little too far.
Okay. All right. So, as other religions do, he's entered the political scene. So, getting into politics, we say. So he has a party, the Happy Realization Party. Their platform means like what they stand for, what they represent, what they want to happen. But they say it's been a little bit of a bummer. A bummer is like not a good thing, like kind of a downer. He wants to double the population for some reason. We don't know why. Why do they want twice as many people in Japan? He's also claiming in a promo video, a promotional video, which means like a marketing video for the party, that North Korea is going to invade and colonize. So colonize means North Koreans will set up the government in Japan. And we say this as yikes. Yikes. It means like, oh no, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Yikes. Like, oh, we're scared, but it's a joke. Okay. So Japan is not too afraid of North Korea, I don't think. Panawave, so this is the other one. And he's starting off, I'm sure we've all at some point worried that our cell phones might be frying our brains. So some people think that cell phones is not good. You know, cell phones are not good for your brains in terms of the electromagnetic waves and things like that. So somebody had to take things a little too far. So to take things a little too far means you just do something that's a little bit too much. You shouldn't really do that. Okay, Amit, how about this part right here?
Okay.
Actually, just read the whole thing.
Okay. Meet Yuko Chino. She started Panawave as a religion that includes a bit of Buddhism, a dash of Christianity, and a pinch of New Age. One of her pet causes is raising awareness of the dangers of electromagnetic waves, which she claims caused climate change and other environmental destruction. Okay, it is a little out there, but I can see why there might be some concern. Here's where they take things too far. They decide that the whole phenomenon is in fact a communist pilot to bombard them with EM waves as a way to kill their leader Chino. So they dressed up in white clothes, which in addition to looking stylish, apparently offers them protection against EM waves, wear white masks, drive white vans, and roam the countryside looking for special spots less polluted by harmful waves.
Okay. All right. So a new religion. This is kind of a way he wrote this is a bit of Buddhism, a dash of Christianity. It's like making a recipe. Like you're making a meal, and so you put a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a pinch of this. Like usually we would say like a pinch of salt, a dash of spice, some kind of spice or something, a bit of sugar. You know, you're making like a recipe. So this is a recipe for a religion. And her pet cause. So a pet cause is like your favorite, like the most important one to you. So your pet cause is the dangers of electromagnetic waves. She says they're responsible for climate change and environmental destruction. He's saying, okay, you know, maybe that could be true. Maybe there's some concern here. But then he said this is where they take things too far, and this is where they take too far. They think that the whole phenomenon of the cell phone electromagnetic waves is, in fact, a communist plot. A communist plot means like a plan to bombard them, to push all these EM waves at them in order to kill their leader, Chino. And they think that dressing up in white clothes protects them. So they also have white masks, which go on your face. They drive around in van. They roam the countryside. So to roam the countryside means to drive all around looking for something. And so they're looking for less polluted places to be. Okay, Monica, you can read this next part.
Some wacky PR gaffes include trying to kidnap a famous seal, the equivalent of trying to steal Ling Ling the panda, to prevent Armageddon climbing a 10th planet would cause to Earth to flip poles, and some other doomsday claims that never panned out. They're still counting their mission against the waves and looking fabulous while they do it. Prince Philip movement. You might presume that a man known as Britain's longest serving consort to Queen Elizabeth would have little value to society, except of course to the Queen during her cold and foggy nights. Well, guess again, our main man, Philip, is a god in the South Pacific.
Okay. All right, so a wacky PR gaffe. So wacky means crazy. PR means like promotional, when you try to promote something like a marketing thing. And a gaffe is a mistake. So they made some crazy PR. They're trying to get popularity, but instead they made these mistakes. They tried to kidnap, to steal a seal, to prevent Armageddon. Armageddon is full-out war, And they also say that some 10th planet would cause the Earth to flip poles, meaning to go from the North Pole to the South Pole kind of thing. We'd flip over. And other doomsday claims. A lot of religions have some kind of doomsday, like this will be the final days of the Earth. That's how the world is going to end. That's kind of the idea that religions have. But they've never panned out, which means they've never happened. But they're continuing their mission. All right, so then the last one here is the Prince Philip movement. The consort is like a partner, Queen Elizabeth's partner. So he doesn't have much value to society except for the Queen. And this is what he's saying, like, cuddling with her on cold and foggy nights in London. All right, but he's a god in the South Pacific. What are they talking about? Okay, Wilmer.
Okay, teacher. The Johannes tribe of Vanuatu believe that Prince Phil is a divine being, the past king, son of mountain spirit who traveled the seas to distant place, married a powerful woman, and will one day return to their land. The Prince Philip movement is a type of cargo cult found in the South Pacific, where the tribes are focused on gaining trade material with the cargo from industrialist nations. They see these advanced materials as having been created by spirits of ancestors for them, but were unjustly seized by other nations. Most of these cargo cults were started during or just after WW11?
World War II. That's what that is. World War II.
World War II, when large amounts of goods were funded by the military through the region. When the war ended and the base closed, the deliveries ended. So what did the enterprising natives do? They create fake airport and fake radio equipment out of coconuts, hoping to attract further deliveries by mimicking what they had seen.
Okay, good. All right, so Prince Philip. So this is a tribe, so an indigenous tribe in Vanuatu, which is an island. And they think he is a divine being, divine meaning from God. He's this pasty-skinned son. Pasty means white. Pasty-skinned son of a mountain spirit, a mountain spirit on their island. And what he's done is he's traveled to the seas to a distant place, London, England, and he's married a very powerful woman, the Queen of England, and someday he's going to return to Vanuatu. So that's their belief. The movement is a type of cargo cult. Again, the cult is a group of people who believe something, and what happens is that they get material wealth. So they call stuff, goods, cargo. When you go to an island, because it comes in these cargo ships, they call all of this stuff cargo. And so all of this stuff is coming from places like, China, the United States, all these industrialized nations. They see these things as advanced materials, of course. They're not primitive. And so they think that they're created by spirits. They don't really understand what's happening in the factories and that kind of stuff. So they've been created by spirits or ancestors for them. This is their belief. And they were unjustly seized by other nations. So the other nations just took them from them, but unjustly, so it's not right. Most of these cults started during World War II when large amounts of stuff was being sent, funneled by. A funnel is like when you put like something into a glass jar and you're pouring, you have a funnel like wine or something. And so a lot of this stuff was coming to these islands, and so a lot of these tribal peoples, this is the story that they made up about it. But what happened at the end of the war was that these bases closed, and people went home to other countries, and so the deliveries ended. What did the enterprising natives do? What did the people who were, enterprising means like you know what you're doing, like you have good ideas, like an entrepreneur is an enterprising person. They created fake airports. So they tried to recreate the situation, but they're fake. They weren't real. They were hoping to mimic what they had seen before so they could get more stuff, attract more stuff. I'll finish up here. So when the royal couple made an official visit to Vanuatu in 1974, bearing gifts, no less, so they were bringing stuff, the legend of Prince Philip grew even further. In case you're wondering, yes, he's in on the joke, so this is kind of a joke for him, and he's decided to keep it up. So he's kind of playing with it. All right, some final thoughts. So there you have it, a few of the weirdest belief systems out there. Also, I want to formally announce I am starting my own religion. I am jumping on the bandwagon. It means I'm going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm leaping head first. So I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a risk. My religion will be based on the philosophy of the great anchorman, Ron Burgundy. Anchorman is on like a news report. It will henceforth be known as big dealism, as in I'm kind of a big deal. It is meant to highlight the uniqueness and value each human being possesses because, honestly, isn't each and every one of us kind of a big deal? So he's going to make up his own religion there. I think he even has a website for, if you want to be a member of his religion, it has a Facebook page, I think, at the end of the article here. Okay, Hamid, thank you for suggesting. I think it's funny. There are lots of good words in there. Did people get it? It's very kind of sarcastic, but I think those things really do exist. Amparo, what do you think about it? Was it silly?
So crazy.
It's silly, but at the same time, it does make you wonder, like, how our religions really started, what really happens, and how do people come to believe what they believe? People just have different, different beliefs. So that's what the guy's kind of commenting on too. Here, the guy's dressed in white here. Hamid.
Yes.
Is that why you liked it? Did you think it was funny?
Actually, I found this article randomly. I didn't think it is funny or other stuff.
Uh-huh.
But if it is useful for people, it is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and the pictures you see, I mean, there really are people who believe these things, so it's kind of
yeah,
funny.
that is the crazy part.
Exactly. But then again, there are even the real religions, or the mainstream religions, there are people that believe them. So, I mean, obviously, and they're really true for you. So, like, whatever's really true is really true for you. So this is Anchorman. That's a movie. That's the big dealism. Okay, you guys. Whatever you believe, have a good weekend.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.